Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome along to another webinar at the Curragh, virtually at the Curragh. Very much looking forward to our next classical course going to post on Saturday evening. It is the Juddmonte Oaks, the Juddmonte Irish Oaks. So joining me this evening, we trainer Jessica Harrington. Hi, how are you, Jessica? You well?
I'm fine. I think it's a miracle that I've got here.
not at all. It's great to have you. We've got Paul Smith as well from Coolmore. Paul, how are you?
I'm very well, thanks, Tom.
And Teddy Grimthorpe as well, of course, racing manager to Khalid, Abdulla, and of course, Juddmonte are very generous sponsors as well. So Teddy, great to have you on the call too.
Good to be here.
And how are you keeping, Teddy? I mean, I suppose obviously racing these days, these times, very strange experience. You won't have owners on course in Ireland anytime soon, but you have had owners on course in the UK, and yourself and Paul just 400 saying is a pretty strange experience. You guys are both at the Eclipse recently.
I'm afraid we were. It was. I mean, there is a need to get owners back, but really because that's a big part of their enjoyment. But it's also a social occasion for a lot of owners, and the interaction is very important for all owners between horse trainer and jockey, and that really wasn't available so much. I mean, we were sort of well looked after, but they were limited to where we could go, what we could see, and what we could do. But it's small. We appreciate it's got to be small steps.
Yeah, small steps indeed. I mean, listen, thanks a million to Juddmonte for coming on board as sponsors at the Curragh. Look, it's I suppose a race that's been good to you guys as well. The likes of Enable have won it recently in the past.
Yes, that was it was very nice actually. It was a bit of a break before that, I think, to Bolus, who was trained by Barry Hills. But Enable winning was a big part of CV, definitely.
Yeah, so I mean, Jessica, you've got the likes of KN Pepper in the race. She's up there disputing the market. I suppose given the brilliant fillies as 2-year-olds you had last year, it must be just nice to even see them progressing again this year.
It's been great. You know, she's had KN. You know, always the aim was to run in the Juddmonte Oaks, Irish Oaks. She had a bit of a slow spring. She didn't come to hand, and we managed to get one run into her there at in the Pretty Polly over the Guineas weekend, I think it was in the end, and to get that into her and look. I think she's come on from there, and I'm looking forward to running her on Saturday.
And Paul, I mean, you guys again well represented. Again, it's just so strange that you won't be there. But how happy are you with the crew that Coolmore will have represented in the race?
Yeah, we're really happy. I mean, we have Snow, who won the Munster Oaks very recently. The Ribblesdale third, Passion, who ran very well, came 5th in the Epsom Oaks. And we have another horse that came 2nd in an Oaks trial at Naas, Laburnum, and of course Mrs. Stockwell's filly, which is exciting. I was delighted for her. She ran a huge race behind Love at the Epsom Oaks, and she's going to take her chance on Saturday.
Yeah, and Steinman, of course. None of the English commentators were too keen on pronouncing her name.
I was a bit too scared to say it there, to be honest.
A little village in Clare.
Okay, thank you. It's similar to the horse that came 3rd in the Epsom Derby for us. I don't know if you remember that name.
Ron Levine.
Yes, I was frightened to mention that as well.
And so it's absolutely. I mean, it's always intriguing sometimes when you do see the English commentators having a go at some of the more difficult pronunciations. Any others sort of give you nightmares over the years, Paul?
Not really. I'm just pleased that we don't have horses with Mr. Bolger. I think I'd be struggling then, wouldn't I?
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose if we just wind it back, I mean, or Grimthorpe, just obviously talking about you and Juddmonte. I mean, Juddmonte actually, as everyone knows, that the racing colours have quite a big operation in Ireland as well, don't you guys?
Yeah, that's correct. Prince Khalid bought Ferens from Dr. Schnapker. In the late 70s, I think it was, along with a package deal of a stud farm in Kentucky in Lexington, and also some broodmares as well, which still form a very important part of it. So the connection, the Irish connection with Juddmonte is very strong indeed.
Of course, Pat's joined us as well there. Pat Keogh, obviously our chief executive at the Curragh, has joined us too. Pat, I mean, it's just must be brilliant to see someone like Juddmonte coming in and getting involved in the sponsorship at the Curragh.
Oh yeah, it was great. It's fantastic to have someone like Juddmonte getting involved in it, and you know, sponsors are so important all the time for the contribution they make to racing. I don't think people fully appreciate the great value that they bring, both in terms of, you know, the prize money, bringing new people racing, doing all of that. But in the place we find ourselves now, the difficult challenges that we all have, sponsors are invaluable. And you know, for Juddmonte to come in to sponsor the Oaks, you know, such an important race in the international calendar, was fantastic. So I'm extremely grateful. And it was a lovely gesture as well that they planted. The Barry Mahon planted an oak tree outside the Curragh on Tuesday as a, you know, as part of that deal. And I hope that that it's very successful. And of course, the winning owner and breeder will also get an oak tree as well. It's a gorgeous gesture, and it's just a great sponsorship. But Juddmonte do so much for Ireland. As Teddy says, they've been here now for 40 years. The employment, the great horses they produce here, and they're a great ad for Ireland as well. So I just can't say thank you enough to Prince Khalid and to the whole Juddmonte team.
And Teddy,
of course, sorry,
yeah.
I just have to say, of course, within that package came the wonderful Rory Martin, who's been such a vital cog in the whole of Juddmonte, and all the young horses have come through his hands. And
when you say young horses, I mean, would that include the likes of, you know, Frankel and Abel, like stars like that?
And Abel, yeah, Kingman, all of those, all Prince Khalid's young horses go to Ireland to be broken in, and from there they go on to the trainers in around Europe, in England, Ireland, and France, of course. But they all come through Rory and now Barry's hands.
I mean, it's an incredible legacy, isn't it? Just the sheer quality of horse that will have come through there.
It's sensational, really, and of course the other farm, New Abbey, was bought from Mrs. Urquhart, and is really one of the truly lovely studs in Ireland. It's very pretty, and it's been a great place for us, for the young horses as well.
And big Jessica Harrington in here as well. I mean, you talk about the kind of history and stuff like that, and it feels almost like you're almost a new flat trainer, because, you know, let's say Barry Garrity retired this year. Obviously, he was such an integral part of your operation back in the day. But, you know, you think about it now, and your more recent success, by like Super Sunday, is on the level. I mean, how has that kind of come about?
Well, it's sort of, I'd always, even when I was training, you know, a lot of national hunt horses, I always had a few flat horses, and, you know, really basically supposed to keep me busy during the summer as well as the winter. And anyway, and it just grew, because I was lucky enough to have some nice horses. You know, starting off, probably my first sort of real breakthrough was training Pathfork to win my first Group 1, and then that was followed on by Dragon Pulse. And, you know, and then it rolled on from there, and people sent me more flat horses. And I've just been very lucky with, you know, the Nearchoses send me some very nice homebreds, and you know, it's just been a rolling stone, as it were.
Yeah, and has that kind of changed how you do things then? You know, if you're going from having a load of chases, now you've got the likes of, you know, these really good, you know, younger horses has that changed how you operate, how things go in your place?
Not really. All you're trying to do is get them fit and get them ready to go racing. You know, if you have fit, healthy horses, they're going to hopefully win races if they're good enough. But no, we've probably done a few more adds on to the actual place here. We put in a new gallop, and we're always upgrading all our facilities the whole time, and that helps. And I've got a great, you know, my great thing is I've got a great team behind me, because I've got my 2 daughters and a son-in-law, as well as all the staff that are here. And I couldn't do it without them, I can tell you that.
And I suppose when you do want to, it helps when you have a bit of success. That helps pay for those extensions and renovations and bits and pieces you need to do as well, don't they?
Oh yeah, I tell you what, you don't stand still here. There seems to be always something wrong. If you have any sort of buildings or anything, or even gallops, there's always something that has to be done. There's a bolt that's gone, there's a hinge that's broken, there's something that has to be done, and slates fall off. And actually only the really good thing about lockdown was when we were all here, everything got painted and everything got washed and everything got, if you stood still, you got painted. You'd be there, you want to keep moving. And, like a lot of jobs got done that normally would never get done because, we were here in the morning dealing with the horses, which was great. That was the same as ever. But then in the afternoon, no one was going racing. So lots of people, including me, had a lot of spare time on their hands. So, everything got cleared and tidied up and everything. So it was actually great.
I heard you said you were doing a lot of gardening because obviously you weren't able to go to the first couple of meetings either. So what were you like?
Well, I was busy all the time. And luckily, we were unbelievably lucky when you think back on the whole of April and whole of May, we actually had no rain. And so the weather was lovely. And you actually felt like being outside. I actually sort of thought, well, I suppose I'll have to do some things in the house, but as it never rained, I never got round to doing things in the house. I'd rather be outside.
And I suppose the kind of pre-season that the horses got, because there was no racing on and the weather was so good, do you think that actually helped them kind of develop as well?
Yeah, I think it did. We kept training away as normal. The only thing we didn't do was work horses. We kept them ticking over. And then you didn't know when it was going to start until you finally got the actual date that it was going to start. Then you could actually start planning. Suddenly, with the plans started to being evolved. But during the actual when we didn't know when the racing was going to start, we literally kept the horses just ticking over and not really working them but keeping them going.
And it seems like there's been a bit of a benefit to that, obviously, as well. Like you're absolutely flying at the moment.
Well, the horses have been, they've been very good, and and we had some nice horses, and probably in a way it helped the 2-year-olds because they all got an extra 2 months really, without having the gun being put to their head basically and told to hurry up and get on with it. They definitely have benefited from the slow start.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just mentioned Barry Garrity there, and obviously he's such a part of so many of your bigger successes, the likes of Moscow Flyer and Jet Ski. And what was it like for you when that news came through on Saturday evening?
Well, I was very sad that he was retiring. He'd been absolutely, he'd been part of my place here, and then he went and worked for Nicky Henderson, and so I saw a lot of him when I was over there. But Barry was great. I gave him his first winner in England, Miss Orchestra. Way back in the day, I think Barry was 17 or 18 then, and he was riding at about 9 stone 10. He could nearly ride on the flat, but no, he was a great part of mine, and well, I'm not sure who made who, whether he made Moscow Flyer or Moscow Flyer made Barry, but anyway, it was a tremendous partnership.
And look, great to see someone go out kind of on their own terms as well. At that, jumps jockeys. It's a tough old gig.
It's a tough gig, and it's great that actually it's amazing. Ruby, Tony McCoy, and Barry, they all they went out on their terms. They weren't told to retire because through injury and one thing and another. It was brilliant. They did it on their terms. And, let's hope that, and they've all retired healthy and well, and, a bit battered probably, and a few battle scars. They've all got a good few battle scars. But, at least they're all in one bit, and hopefully can have a new life, which they're all doing.
Yeah, you'd be hoping it doesn't come down to you anytime soon. You want to be left alone now. You'd be trying to sell your horse or something.
Oh, I know, but I sent him. At least I didn't. Richie sent him. We're advertising as usual for staff. So Richie sent him on the advert. Said, please apply.
Oh, very good. Okay, so he could be down working a few yet.
Oh yeah, we could get him shoveling, knocking out a few stables. It'd be very good for him.
Oh my God. I'm just imagining that thought. Barry Garrity turned around and you handed him a shovel and a wheelbarrow as he turns in his first morning.
Yeah, that'd be very good, wouldn't it? It would be a very good cartoon. You could make that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Absolutely. Paul, I mean, just talking about the way the season started and that slow season, kind of pre-season for horses that they've had with those kind of 2 quiet months when they couldn't run, but it's worked out well for all at Team Ballydoyle, hasn't it?
It has. I mean, Aidan came out firing pretty quick and carried it through really for Royal Ascot. And then, of course, we had that great day at Epsom a couple of weeks back, which is probably the highlight so far.
Yeah, and I mean, you just looking through that, and I mean, a brilliant day as well for the likes of Emmett McNamara to have a to have a Derby winner like Pork Beggy did a couple of years ago. Just shows these guys, and that when they work hard at Aidan's, that rewards can be there for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I was delighted for Emmett. As you know, he was beating the short head, I think, on Tiger Moth in the Irish Derby just a week before, and I thought, oh, maybe his chance had gone. And a week later, he goes and wins arguably the biggest race in the world. Delighted for him, and he's a big part of Ballydoyle. We've been there for six years, I think now, and over the moon for him.
And so as yourselves, obviously you're not getting to be on course, but look, in great success. Probably Love is close enough to one of the horses of the season and what she's done so far.
Yeah, she's been the highlight so far. She wintered very well, and Aidan wanted to start her off in the Guineas. He felt she'd stay very well, and that would be a good prep for her going into the Oaks. And you know, a lovely filly by Galileo. She travelled through the race very well and won nicely. Ryan was very happy with her. And off the back of that, we went to the Oaks. You know, you're never confident, but you're hopeful, and you know, she did it very nicely.
And so as you're looking now, the world really is her oyster. You know, she obviously a classic winner of a mile, classic winner over a mile and a half, maybe Yorkshire next, but like there's just so many options on her plate, aren't there?
There are options. I think Aidan's touched on perhaps the Yorkshire Oaks and maybe a tilt in France in October. That's a possible route to go. It looks that way at the moment, but things do change. She's versatile, winner over a mile and a half. So, you know, they can pretty much do what they want with her, really.
Well, he brought it up, Teddy, but the Arc, I can't kind of let it go without mentioning Enable. How has she been?
She's truly remarkable. I mean, she took a little bit longer to come to hand. She's 6 years old, so she's a right to. And we were pretty much aware of that. Of course, Gaeth set that really good pace in the Eclipse, but apart from the actual result, we were thrilled with the filly. She did everything right. She came through the race. Most importantly, it's so important to get a good race into her to try and set her up for the season rather than sort of botting her out, if that's the right word.
Easy to say, yeah.
And then you're slightly on the back foot trying to go into a King George, whereas she's gone forward. She worked the other morning and she's enjoying it. Everything has gone pretty smoothly, dare I say. So she is on track, but obviously she's got to bring her A game again.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, John Gosling sort of said pre-race that she was about 85. So I suppose it was a good effort, wasn't it, given the performance we'd seen already from Gaeth?
Yeah, I think we were very happy with everything that happened, especially after the race and the way she came through it, and from that point of view, it was just what was required.
And a quick word on Siskin as well. Obviously, a really nice winner at Tattersall's Irish 2,000 guineas. Is it Sussex Downs next for him?
It's Goodwood. Yes, the Sussex Stakes. He's been in good form. Joe is forever bullish, but he came through the Irish Guineas in great nick, and it was always the plan. Ascot came just a bit too soon, really. It was just hardly a week after the Irish Guineas, so that couldn't have been a consideration. So the Sussex was always firmly in Prince Khalid's mind as well. It's one of his favourite races. So from that point of view, he's heading there in good shape.
Yeah, and so it's obviously you've won that race with the likes of Kingman in the past, so it'd be really nice to have another crack at it with someone like Siskin, who has done absolutely nothing wrong in his life.
He hasn't. Barring a sort of an aberration in the stalls in the middle park, which was so unlike him, because he's rarely temperament-wise. He's usually bomb-proof. So it was a bit of a surprise that to us all. But apart from that, he's been great.
Yeah, well, good stuff. Well, hopefully he will. All fingers crossed. And I mean, get another crack at Kamiko as well, which would be a clash of the two Guineas winners as well.
Yeah, is he going to come? Is he? Kind
of suggested today that Kamiko would head that way. Yeah,
great.
Good. As long as it doesn't change your plans or anything. Yeah.
No, everyone else is welcome to change.
Yeah, absolutely. Just quick chat on the Gain Railway Stakes. Obviously, a long sponsorship as well. Again, at the Curragh. Jessica, you have the likes of Lucky Vega, I think, in this, do you?
Yeah, I do. Lucky Vega. He won in Naas the first day we were back racing. And we always were going to give him a bit of time. He's a nice big colt. And we just wanted to give him a bit of time, so hopefully he'll be ready to rock and roll on Saturday afternoon in that. He won't mind. The ground looks like it's going to be perfect at the Curragh at the weekend.
Oh, good stuff. And Dickie Doodah was a really nice winner. I've got back to winning ways at the weekend too. How's he been, and what might be next for him? Sorry.
Well, she's in on Sunday at the Curragh, but it'll kind of depend if the ground's reasonably quick, she could easily run there. I have a couple of other fillies in there, Uda Data, who won in Leopardstown, and I've got Sussex Gardens, who won in Naas and then was second in a group race at Naas the other day.
Yeah. But you'll be represented either way.
I will be represented with something, I'd say.
Good stuff, Paul. Yeah, Adrian Bryan's the likes of Merchants Quay in that Railway Stakes, obviously a race that's been very good to Ballydoyle and Coolmore over the years.
Yes, it has been. Sorry,
I was just going to say, it looks a very hot race. they're all winners in it. But I suppose
whatever you want to put Paul off,
at the moment.
I suppose that's a part of the compacted season, isn't it? There is no easy route for a horse. So whoever becomes champion at the end of this season is going to earn it, aren't they?
I think they are, definitely. You can't duck and dive and avoid horses because the season's compressed. So you're going to have to just put your head in the line and hope it doesn't get chopped off.
Certainly. Yeah, Paul, you're very much looking forward to Sunday. Any word on how Merchants Quay, perhaps he would be one for Aidan?
Yes, a nice no-name never colt, and he won nicely last time out. You'd be hopeful of a nice run from him. Yes, you would.
I mean, it's and like I say, it's been a good race. It was known in ever has been a real revelation for Coolmore as well as a stallion too, hasn't he? He's progressed incredibly, and he's thrown some really nice sorts over the last while.
He has, and he's pretty versatile too. He's an exciting stallion, and he is one to look forward to. You're right, Tom.
And I suppose, with Coolmore at the moment, you're looking at what Galileo has done in the last while. But I guess you guys must nearly be looking at, well, what do we need? We have so many good Galileo mares. I mean, finding the stallions to go to them is part of the challenge, isn't it?
Yes, it's important to find those outcrosses, isn't it? It definitely. The boys are lucky, similar to Prince Khalid. We're lucky to have a good broodmare band there, and we need to find places for them to go. And we've going back to Kingman there. We stand Calix now, so that we have that affinity going on. So there's things to look forward to, and there's places to take those Galileo mares too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, bring Teddy in there on that. I mean, these outcrosses and the way you guys manage that band of stallions, well, you keep it tight. The likes of Calix was sold. You said you've sold the rights to Siskin as well. So it's a very tightly managed operation, isn't it, numbers wise, with Juddmonte?
It always has been. It has. Prince Khalid's always been consistent in pretty much what he does and what he likes to do, and he makes decisions on certain horses, and that's the way it goes. And of course, we're trying to make sense of the business as well, you've got to take those sort of harsher decisions. And really and truly, we couldn't be more delighted, with Frankel and Kingman, Oasis Stream still going well, Expert Eye coming on. We've got a very strong stallion band, and really it's a question. And of course, with a reasonably limited amount of mares, it's always more difficult if you're standing a lot of stallions, then people expect Juddmonte to support them accordingly. And of course, it's more and more difficult if you haven't got quite so many mares.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just. So it must be incredibly different. Are you involved in that side of things? It just seems to be incredibly well managed.
I interfere on that side.
Yeah.
But I'm not. I don't. Simon Mockridge runs Banstead and with his really good team. So obviously we liaise constantly, as I do with Barry and of course Garrett in the States.
And I suppose it's one of the things about Frankel as a stallion. It was one of the things that was almost too good to be true. The way he was managed and the level of success he's had in a relatively short period of time has just been phenomenal, hasn't it?
You're talking to the wrong person, really, but his stats are unbelievable, really. He's got one more winner to go, one more group winner to go to 40 group winners. And that is, it's the fastest any stallion's ever done. Or it will be, hopefully, fairly soon. And yeah. He is the gift that keeps on giving, no question.
Yeah, and so it's a similar story to what it's like with Galileo at Coolmore, isn't it, Paul? But obviously Galileo much further down the line in that sort of that level of success.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, the first stallion to provide 5 Epsom Derby winners, I think he was this year, wasn't he?
Staggering.
Yeah, it's a staggering level of success when you look across the classics so far this season as well. But like I say, Teddy, Frankel just doing some absolutely brilliant stuff. And Kingman too, you must be impressed at how he's popped out of the stalls as well from a stallion perspective.
Yeah, undoubtedly. We had a nice winner by him with Joe Lyons and Mashton the other day, and he might go to the Tyros. And of course John Gosden's called Palace Pier that won so well at Ascot. I think he's going to the Mawa. So he's rocking, and he had a most incredible turn of foot. You have to watch his Sussex Stakes. Suddenly he just literally just took off. He had that great acceleration.
And Jessica, I mean, from your trainer's point of view, and you watch a horse like that, do you think back to how the stallions performed on the track when you're looking at a foal, and you think, oh, that could be good, but my God, remember the way Kingman was?
Yeah, it's all in the breeding. And Kingman's a very good sire. He's very good. He produces good quick horses, and they seem to stay as well. Look there. Kingman, Frankel. Oasis Dream is a good old stay. He's a standby and he's a very, very good sire, even though he's now probably getting on a bit, Teddy, isn't he?
He is. He's 23.
Well, I run a nice fillet by him on Sunday, actually. All being well.
He's amazing, and he looks like being a great broodmare sire as well. So it's exciting.
It's amazing.
I think he's a year older than Galileo, I think, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's sensational to have had Galileo, Sadler's Wells, just those Danehill, those horses, just been so dominating in the stallion program.
Yeah. I remember as a young boy following horses like Rainbow Quest and Dancing Brave and then their sons, Quest for Fame and Commander in Chief. There's some fabulous horses when I was a young lad interested in the game. Pat Edry riding them. It was just incredible.
Yeah, I miss Pat. He was a lovely.
I used to idolise him as a young boy.
He was great friends with your father, wasn't he?
He was. When I was 9 years old in 1975, Mike Dillon, who we all know, and my dad took me to the King George to see Grundy versus Bastino in what now becomes the race of the century. I was 9 years old, and Pat, as we all know, rode Grundy, and gosh, I fell in love with the game that day, and I've been in love with it ever since, and that was because of Pat Idry, really, in that race.
That's really interesting, because last year in the Curragh, we got a number of people, you know, when the new Curragh was built, a number of people from the local area contacted the Curragh and said, of course, Pat Idry was a local boy, and said we should be doing something in the Curragh to honour Pat Idry to his memory. And I'm glad to say that everyone will see it when they come back, but in the new Lily White's Lounge, which is a big new lounge overlooking the racecourse, there is a plaque there honouring the legend that was Pat Idry, and it's just delighted, and it's actually really nice, Paul, when you say that, and Teddy, when you talk about it, and I'm just glad that he's been remembered in the Curragh, and it's really nice.
And I think you had Grundy silks at Leopardstown as well, didn't you? Hanging up there, if I remember rightly, in the stands there somewhere.
Absolutely right. Paul, I was going to ask you a question. You know, obviously your dad was always involved in the game. Were you always interested from the time you were a young boy?
Well, Dad being at Ladbrokes for many, many years, I was kind of surrounded by it, and him being a lover of Pat probably helped. So my passion of the sport was always there. And as I say, I was a 9-year-old, and Mr. Dillon and Dad took me to see that great race, and from then on I was hooked, really.
Hooked?
Yeah, I was pretty much hooked, yeah.
That's great.
That's amazing. And any other sort of favourite Coolmore horses from down the years? Because they're brilliant.
Well, my favourite in the purple and white, which, as you know, is Dad's colours, it would be St Nicholas Abbey. St Nicholas Abbey winning at Churchill with Joseph riding him, Odin training him in Dad's colours, winning the Breeders' Cup Turf. That was a pretty special moment.
Yeah, what a brilliant horse he was as well. I mean, he was again a massive loss to the operation as a stallion too. But like, wow, what a horse when he was on song. Yeah,
that was a huge loss, because he had an interrupted career. I think he missed most of his 3-year-old career actually, and then came back as a stronger 4-year-old and was deadly in the Coronation. He rattled off plenty of wins in that. He was a big loss.
No, that's brilliant to hear, Pat. And look, I mean, that's the thing about the Curragh now. Like, I mean, so it's the opportunities you have from managing a new race course and just adding in little initiatives and pieces like that, and threading in the local history is really important, isn't it?
Oh, I think that's really important. As you know, the Curragh has such a history going back for such a long period of time, and you know, it's one of the most important race course in the world. Holds a lot of the most significant races in the world are there, but it's always been a place that the people of Kildare and the people of Ireland are really proud of. But the people of Kildare have always come there in their droves, and there's a big responsibility on us, you know, to make sure that the new Curragh becomes a racecourse of the people of Kildare. That's really, really important, and that they can identify with it. And you know, we've made a number of changes. The new facility is a fine facility. Some teething problems that we've dealt with, a good few of them. We've a few more that we're dealing with at the moment, that we will deal with. And we've made some changes. We made some changes through the winter, and we were really excited about bringing people back this year and to see the changes that we've made. And I think people will really like the Curragh when they come back, and we can't wait to see people back. But in the meantime, they can watch it. All racing is covered, obviously, on Racing TV, and RT have done a great job this year. You know, their coverage is always good, but they've done a great job this year during the lockdown. The extra race meetings that they've taken since racing came back has been great, and of course they've showed a lot of racing from a lot of tracks that people wouldn't have seen otherwise. So it's great. But yeah, that's it. The Curragh is a very special place, and you know, the team that are there are just delighted to be part of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose that's part of it as well. I mean, Jessica, when as part of lockdown, people like bringing racing from different courses that wouldn't generally be on TV with the initiative at HRI and those 2-hour programs in the evening. You think it should be good for growing the game, shouldn't it?
Oh, it definitely should be. They were very well done. You know, I watched a good few of them before I was eventually allowed to go racing.
Yeah.
Big excitement. And then they were very well done. Very good interviews. And I just thought that the whole thing was very good. And I assume we've got RT for television this weekend, have we, Pat?
We do, yeah.
We do indeed, Jess. Absolutely.
Yeah, I presume so. Hopefully I'll be there, though.
Yeah, so you can be interviewed on the TV when you win, isn't that right?
Oh, well, that's what we aim anyway. We'll see. We've got to get there first.
I've just had a message in here from a viewer, Jessica. They were looking for a one horse to follow that maybe aside from the Oaks that you're really looking forward to this weekend.
I'm having a completely blank now. I'm looking forward to Lucky Vega in the Railway Stakes, and I'm very much looking forward to if I run the Oasis Drain filly, Lay It Out in the Fillies Maiden on Sunday.
Good stuff.
I'm not certain whether she's running yet. We'll just see how things go in the morning.
Which are worth a name to note either way.
Sorry?
A name to keep an eye on either way, even if she doesn't run this time, keep an eye on her next time.
Yeah, just keep an eye on her. Lay It Out, it's called.
Great name.
Very good, very good.
Paul, any horse you're really particularly excited about seeing this weekend?
I suppose Lancaster House in the Minstrel Stakes. I'd like to see him. He's stepping up. He won his Group 3 nicely. He's stepping up, so he'll be someone to look forward to.
I'll tell you what, I'm going around the room. Well, a horse you're looking forward to this weekend?
My children always say I'm the world's worst tipster, and they're often right, I'm afraid. We do run a nice 2-year-old first time out on Saturday at Newbury called Maximal, who is with Michael Stout. Ryan rides him, I'm pleased to say, because we've got him over here. He's by the great Galileo, and he's Ada Joyeuse, who's a half sister to Frankel. So, but he's been going nicely at home. Whether he's going to be a star or not, I don't know. But he looks useful.
Good stuff. Well, looking forward to that one. Pat, it's a huge weekend as we look forward. Lots of new sponsors as well coming in at the Curragh too, and you know the season's just kind of rolling on now at this stage, and we're almost into August.
Yeah, this is we're nearly caught up now at this stage. We'll have a couple of the other meetings that we've that we lost earlier on in the year, which we'll pick up later on. But it's been a really frantic few weeks, and we've the Tattersalls Gold Cup to look forward to next weekend. Then on, we're pretty much on schedule from there on. But yeah, we're very lucky. Great racing. I mean, the Coolmore group have been wonderful supporters of the Curragh. They sponsor. You
better mention Brian Purcell to give out yards to me.
Oh yeah, well there you go. You have mentioned Brian Purcell. Brian Purcell's been really good to us as well. Obviously, Gain the Railway Stakes is always a very, very special race. Won by a big horse last year, Teddy, if you remember.
I can't remember what that was.
Oh, it's always it's a very important race. People love running the railway because you've got the Gain Railway Stakes. You've got something very special. Yeah. Paddy Power sponsored, obviously, the Minstrel Stakes.
Fantastic.
And we've got the Scurry as well for those people that want to make their holiday money. The Scurry be a good race on Saturday. And then we've an interesting race. We finished with a really interesting race. Then we've the Kildare Village, the Ladies Derby, which is a very, very important race and means an awful lot to the amateur and apprentice lady jockeys. We've big plans for that this year. COVID kind of came in the way of it a little bit, but plan was to have this as a 50,000 race. We're trying to create in Ireland, a series of races. So the Microsoft Cup in Leopardstown last year was a 50,000 race open to professional and amateur jockeys. It was a really big success. Part of the ladies' evening in Leopardstown. Jessica's been very much part of that. And we, in addition to our own professional amateur jockeys, we got quite a number of English jockeys over as well. And there's a great, it told us there is great appetite for more of those races. We'd hoped of a series of €50,000 ladies races, and the plan was that the Kildare Village Ladies Derby would be a 50,000 race this year, but unfortunately COVID's come in the way of that. But please God, it will be next year. But still, there's 17 runners in the race on Saturday. It finishes the card, and that's a very, very important race to all the lady riders. So Saturday's just an incredible day's racing, and Sunday as well. So we're really looking forward to it.
Yeah, because of course Cheltenham Festival winner Maxine O'Sullivan won it a couple of years ago. Obviously, she won at Cheltenham this year. So lots of big names have won it in the past. All right, I think we're going to wrap up there. Thanks a million to everyone. Thanks, Pat. Thanks, Teddy. Thanks to Jessica, and thanks to Paul, and thanks to you as well for joining us. And of course, we're very much looking forward to another big weekend at the Curragh, where obviously the feature is the Juddmonte Irish Oaks. So looking forward to that. So thanks, everybody. We'll see you again soon. Thanks.